Hey everyone, Andre here to do one of my favorite things recently, and that's take a close-up look at some fantastic new pictures of Super Nintendo World as it appears at Universal Studios Japan. So these latest pictures are provided by @LCA_Studios_USJ on Twitter, and you can find a link to that in the description below, who managed to take some fantastic shots of Super Nintendo World from elsewhere in the Universal Studios Japan park. So not only does this give us a better idea of how it'll look at ground level, giving us a better idea of what it'll look like in person, but also how it actually fits within the grander blueprint of Universal Studios Japan's park itself, because it's pretty darn interesting. So first up, we have a group of shots taken from the Harry Potter section of Universal Studios Japan, and it kind of gives us an interesting idea of how you'll be able to see it from within the land itself, as I kind of just already touched on. So right here we have the berm made of trees, which used to hide a parking lot. So basically the outside world used to be totally invisible to you from within Harry Potter land. But now that's no longer the case, as Super Nintendo World, being a multi-level area, clearly towers over it. So what they've done here is pretty interesting, and that is they've made a fake tree line behind the real tree line that they've painted it on to the Super Nintendo World buildings behind Harry Potter. So we can see that it obscures most of the show building, a little edge of it peeks above, and then it slowly transitions into the rolling hills that you'll see from within the Super Nintendo World land itself. So this will add a great sense of depth from within Super Nintendo World, making it look like it kind of extends farther than the eye can see, whereas from the outside, the tree line and the hills do a pretty good job of kind of like disguising what might just be, a really bland looking building. So that's really neat, even if it doesn't, quite fully hide the interior, and it will stand out to some degree from Harry Potter. So it is going to kind of break immersion, but from within Super Nintendo World, it probably should that exterior will do a pretty good job of hiding much of the outside park. Although perhaps not all of it, as we've already touched on in a previous video, where it looks like Hogwarts may still be visible, but we don't know for sure. At any rate, we can see the peaks of these pyramids or sand dunes. We're still not entirely sure what they are. That will clearly peak above. They are built on top of the roof, which is why they peak above the fake tree line here. And then of course we have the flagpole in the top of the mountain that is one of the centerpieces of Super Nintendo World itself. So for a better sense of scale, or a better sense of geography, if we bring in this picture here, you can see the mountains right here, meaning the picture, this is the wall that they painted on, that the fake tree's on, meaning Harry Potter is down here to the south. And then you can see the tip of the flagpole on the mountain right there further off in the distance. So it kind of shows you how the camera lens here is really giving a false impression, making it appear as though the mountain's way closer to the edge of the park, or to the edge of the Harry Potter section, than it really is. So keep in mind that things may not appear exactly as they do in real life, as they seem to here. Then moving on to the left, we can see Princess Peach's castle just barely peeking above the left side there. So again, it'll be interesting to see how that looks in real life. But yeah, so Peach's castle at the least will be visible, but just barely, only the very tip of it from Harry Potter. Moving on, we get a closer up look at Peach's castle, actually. So this is a clearer shot of it, not a whole lot more to report, but we can see just how the detail on the trees there, like if you're not really paying attention, and especially at night, those trees will just kind of blend into the background. So that's a really neat detail, and it's something that Disneyland actually does themselves when viewing the Indiana Jones ride from the train, when you're taking it around the park. So if you're looking through the existing tree line, you'll see some painted on trees that help to obscure the Indiana Jones show building. So it's a neat little detail that goes way back. And again, you can just see how like the detail here and how nice Peach's castle looks too. All right, moving on to the next picture. We have a close-up look at the sand dunes or pyramids we just mentioned, along with the mountain in the background too. But perhaps more than that, we get, again, a better look at the fake trees here, or the painted-on trees, as well as the show building itself, including what appears to be a ladder leading to the roof. So there you go. All right, now let's move on to the next set of pictures, which provide a different perspective from a different area of the park, and that is we get to see Super Nintendo World from, oh my god, from the Waterworld show at Universal Studios Japan. I love the show at Universal Studios Hollywood. I'm sure it's great in Japan too. However, I have to be honest, actually there's two things here. For one, this actually looks pretty darn cool. I love how actually the hills look like a natural extension, in a way, of of Waterworld, while at the same time not fitting at all. This could not be more out of place. But it's kind of crazy how it does look like they almost do kind of exist in the same world. The rolling hills look like a natural extension of Waterworld. But of course, the whole idea with Waterworld is that this is the only land that exists. There's nothing else. So yeah, this kind of ruins the entire idea of it, and I can only imagine the Waterworld's on borrowed time. Again, it's possible that the picture here is making it look a little bit different than how it will look in real life, but I think this is probably offering a fairly accurate representation of what to expect. But if we zoom in here, we can see how cool those rolling hills look. I'm really surprised by just how effective they are. To the right, we can see Peach's castle, and to the left, we have the mountain we touched on earlier, showing that we're on basically the opposite side, or not quite the opposite, but we're to the left of where we were when viewing it from Harry Potter. So yeah, we're definitely at quite a bit of a different vantage point here. We can see some of the mountains, the typical Mario World mountains off in the distance, which have also, of course, appeared in other games in the series. We have a warp pipe hanging out here. And again, we have a better look at the mountain, including the clouds that will be moving back and forth along the front of it. We can see some colored bricks, as well as some actual blocks hanging out below. To the left, we have more Mario World style mountains. We have the warp pipe, as well as a look at Bowser's castle, which we'll get a better look at here in just a moment. Right after this next picture, for instance. So this one is a better look at the mountain again from the Waterworld section, and we can see it. Yeah, just peeking out above right there. And in fact, now that I look at this closer, yeah, you can very clearly see how close that show building is to Waterworld. So the show building's peeking above, right there, above the edge of the Waterworld backdrop, and you can see where the hills just straight up start. Where they're painted on, or are represented, or are tacked on, I should say, onto the show building, and where it cuts off. So I'm thinking maybe from the lower tiers of Waterworld, you won't be able to see that divide quite as much. Not that it even matters, because the divide seems to be more thematically appropriate. The show building is more thematically appropriate than the actual rolling hills are, so that's kind of funny. Moving on to the final picture. We get a close-up look at Bowser's castle, again from Waterworld. You can see how the hills are tacked onto the show building. We actually see it perfectly here, where you can see they're attached to the building here, and they form a nice little rolling effect. But you can see there's a clear separation from them to the stuff in the background, including part of the ice world here on the left. As is often done in theme parks, they only theme the side that you can actually see from within the park itself, or in this case from within Super Nintendo World, meaning the backside is completely flat. In fact, this is a flat facade. There's no actual depth to it. It's completely flat. Which again, seeing it from Waterworld will kind of ruin that effect a little bit, it seems, because you will be able to see this from within the park, but from Super Nintendo World you won't, so I guess to that extent it won't matter. We again have a better look at the warp pipe here. We have a mushroom, some, I think, coins, but we can really see the detail on Bowser's castle, which we have not been able to see at this level of texture before. This is our closest look that I'm aware of so far, and it's looking great. Look at that detail. So that is a really promising look at how it will. A really promising idea of how it will look from within the park itself. Even on the bricks, just look at that. Each one looks distinct, which is great. We also have a construction worker here for an idea of scale. We can just see his torso, and yeah, we can see that Bowser's castle will appear to be a fair amount above ground level. But you actually can't even see ground level in this. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. Beyond all that, that's pretty much it. I don't have too much else to touch on here. So if we can just cycle back through the picture, just to give you a better idea again of the angle from Harry Potter versus from where we were in Waterworld. So to give you a better idea here, let's bring in this picture again. So Harry Potter is down here basically. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Harry Potter's down here, and Waterworld, I believe, is right about over here, which is why you're able to see the mountain and Bowser's castle. So yeah, there you guys go. There's a look at the pictures. Again, these come to us by way of LCA Studios _USJ on Twitter. Make sure to check them out. You'll find a link in the description below. Fantastic pictures. I am so stoked to be able to check this out in person because this is just a really exciting glimpse of what awaits us when we actually go ourselves once it opens, which we don't even know yet when exactly it is going to be opening. opening. So yeah, hopefully we'll find out pretty soon. So with that, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and make sure to click the subscribe button if you haven't already for more on Super Nintendo World and everything else Nintendo as well. Everything else Nintendo Switch, just everything. I'm running out of breath here, so we'll catch you later, guys. Thanks for watching, and bye.